Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Dychronic, and today we're taking a look at the Destiny 2 Xur for August 26, 2022. And if you don't know, today is Friday, and that means the release of the King's Fall raid. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the Xur himself, but if you want to go, head over to Legends, and you can play the King's Fall raid right now. And it is a 1550 recommended power, which means if you're 1570 like I am, this may not be that hard. However, obviously, the first part is going to be contest mode, which your power level is reduced, etc. So it's still going to be hard initially, but after the first people finish it, it will become a lot easier, which is good. Back in my day, we used to start the raids with like 20, 30 under, and that was just standard. It was hard though. Anyways, you can find the Xur in his regular spot in the tower. Just head over to the top left section of the hangar. You can find the Xur right next to these railings. This is a high overview, in case this is all you cared about. First up today for the exotic weapon, we have the Skyburner's Oath. And they have actually had a number of changes to this weapon, but for the most part, I find that this weapon is not very good. Firstly, this weapon lobs explosive slugs, basically explosive rounds, which is nice. And when you aim down sights, this slug travels faster and in a straight line. And they change this very slightly. When you're firing from the hip, the explosions are larger and apply scorch to the target. So it's an easy way to get scorched these days. It no longer aim assists towards the target. And then the other perk is going to be able to fire in full auto. It does extra damage to Cabal and penetrates Phalanx shields. The problem is that obviously we have barrier rounds. We don't need an exotic to go through Phalanx shields anymore. And even when we didn't have barrier rounds, nobody ever really used it. Fact is, it's a scout rifle, and it's really not that incredible. You can have an explosive round scout rifle and some other stuff. The special stuff is that it does Scorch now, which is not super necessary. It also has a catalyst. I forgot what the catalyst does, to be honest. After that, for the Hunter exotic, we have Reiju's Harness, which is probably a decent option this season. You can press the super button to deactivate the Whirlwind Guard early, which is your super, and Whirlwind Guard consumes energy more slowly when you're not attacking, and guarding does not consume any extra super energy. The entire purpose of this is to encourage you to deflect as much as you can while you're in your super. So if you see an Ice Tornado, reflect that. You see a Nova Bomb, reflect that. You see rockets, anything, you deflect everything, and when you're done reflecting or done killing, you deactivate your super, get your super back. It's actually really nice to have for the super of Arcstaff. However, that makes it a swappable exotic. If you can swap to it, especially in PvP, you're probably going to do so with this. I haven't played with the new Arcstaff or Arc on Hunter this season, but this still seems like a great option for the Crucible. As far as the role goes, you probably like to see a lot of intellect because it's entirely based off of your super, maybe mobility, and obviously a lot of recovery because of a PvP stuff. And 58 is below average, but you know, it could work with your build. Following that, another swappable exotic, another arc-based exotic, we have the Eternal Warrior. You gain an overshield when you activate your Fist of Havoc. Fist of Havoc is going to be the roaming super version, and I have to say, this overshield, while it seems small, you have the resistance of your super, which is like 50%, you have to keep in mind, applies to that overshield, allowing you to last and survive a lot more in that super, which is already a very resistant super. And that shield, I believe, does slightly come back over time. Again, another swappable exotic, probably one of the better swappables in the game. You have your super, you swap to this exotic, you get the benefit, you swap off of it. This is kind of annoying and cumbersome, but you can do it. As far as the roll goes, 66 is obviously well above average. You, on this exotic, probably like to see intellect, maybe mobility, recovery, and resilience, and it has most of that. So not a bad roll for a good exotic. Good in the sense that it's good when you want it. And of course, finally, for the Warlock exotic, we have the Aeon Salt with a 61, a little bit below average. Aeon Salt is one of the better exotics in the game, pretty much all of the Aeons, because you can spawn in heavy ammo whenever you choose on a champion or an elite enemy, which is extremely powerful. And furthermore, you can also spawn in special ammo for your team as well, on top of all of the other bonuses to the Orbs of Power, the precision stuff, the weapon stuff, the other bonuses, and of course, the other perks that most people don't really use. Essentially, if you're playing Grandmasters, you don't know what exotic to use, you use one of the Aeon exotics. It's just so very useful, and sometimes you use it anyway. As far as the role goes, I guess you'd like to see recovery and intellect and whatever, but everything else is up to you. Following that, let's take a look at the legendary weapons. First up, a 450 auto rifle with a rangefinder and underdog. Not a bad combination, however, I'd like to see a lot more handling stuff, maybe a little bit more range. After that, we have a Chrysler Mellow, which is an outlaw dragonfly. Hopefully it doesn't have an impact or accuracy mod. I don't really like 360s either, and this roll is kind of meh. After that, the Wolf Tone Draw. Archer's Tempo Adagio, not a bad combination, although I'm personally a fan of Archer's Tempo with Explosive Payload. I think this can have Explosive Payload, but I can't remember. Outside of that, Fiberglass is really amazing for the accuracy stuff, and the rest is up to you. After that, we have a Cartesian Coordinate, which has a hipfire grip and a high impact reserve. Not a bad combo, however, I think this has auto-loading and lead from gold is an option, or Vorpal, which is obviously a lot better. And of course, you like a bit more range stuff or handling stuff or PvE stuff. After that, Dychronic, which is the high impact frame fusion rifle. These kind of fusion rifles are not doing the best in either mode. I think it's more of a precision, adaptive kind of meta right now. And for the most part, I don't remember the rolls you can have on it, but it feels like this could be better. After that, we have the Tarantula, which is a firmly planted rampage. Again, you could definitely do better. I believe this has box breathing and a number of better stuff. Firmly planted is actually really good, and keeping in mind that charge time is not a good thing in PvE anymore. The better the charge time, the worse the impact, so you don't want charge time on these weapons anymore. And finally, we have Frozen Orbit, which is a no distractions dragonfly, and this one does have snapshot as an option and is a good crucible option if you can get snapshot. And no distraction is okay, but the rest of it is kind of meh. Well, I'm just realizing airborne effectiveness for sniper at 2. Dang, that's bad. After that, let's take a look at the different armors. Again, just for the Titans. First up, the arms, 60, mobility and recovery, not a bad roll. 65, much better. Intellect, resilience, recovery, much better roll. Highly recommend this one. A 60, high recovery, resilience, discipline. This is a good roll. And this one is high recovery, some mobility, discipline, and a decent roll. Definitely, this chest piece is going to be your best choice. And of course, we have the exotic weapons. First up for the Hawkmoon today, we have Killing Wind. Killing Wind is a decent option, but I still really do like Rampage. We have Fluted Barrel, and we have Textured Grip. Neither one of them control recoil direction, and that's usually what I'm looking for either one of these, and of course, a bit more range, because this has a fairly low range compared to everything else. Keep in mind, it's quite easy to max out the handling on this item, so keep that in mind. You need to balance those stats. And now that we actually have the stats on screen right now, you can see recoil direction is 96. Getting one of the plus 10s in one of these two columns for recoil direction gets it to 100, which is actually worth it. And of course, we have a Dead Man's Tail, which is a moving target. Moving target and Vorpal are going to be the better options to have on this weapon. Obviously, it has high caliber rounds, which I like as well, and the rest is pretty much up to you. Overall, this is a good combination, and I would recommend it. Keeping in mind the recoil direction is at 89, and maybe a recoil direction kind of thing is maybe something you're looking for. And they changed it. By the way, if you don't know, they changed how Cranial Spike work. Chaining precision hits grants bonus target acquisition and range now. And of course, every engram you get in the game, every exotic engram you get in the game is guaranteed to be something you've never seen before and or with a high stat roll. And me, 64 compared to my 66, not really that much. I feel like that Dune Marchers there was the one I got last time, because I have another Dune Marchers here, so... And of course, if you did not know, I do live stream right after all of these videos. We'll probably be trying out the King's Fall. We're not going to get that far. We're going to have some fun and enjoy the ride. I honestly cannot remember how to do the King's Fall, so it's going to be a little bit of a new thing for me as well. We're going to be live streaming that on YouTube. Just stick around and be right after this video. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom and Dad, Pasolons, Unbox World, Majesty Background, Shooter Panther, Kiss Dragon, for their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.